Hey, this is Wes Wright here with Davis Dental, and I'm going to be showing you today how to restore an implant using your E4D Cad-Cam machine. And we're going to do a screw retained crown instead of a cement retained crown. I'm going to show you how to do that today, and it can end up saving you a good bit of money. It's also just fun. So what I'm going to show you here, we've got the implant abutment set up, and obviously I'm not going to tell you how to get to this point. If you need to know how to get this port up and the analog and how to shape the abutment and everything, take a class on it. And so I'm just going to start at this point here. We've got the implant abutment in here, and basically we've shaped it down. It's a 6.0 platform, pretty big implant. But what we're going to do is we're going to scan this into the E4D. I'm also not going to tell you how to do that, because if you have an E4D, you already know how to scan crowns in. So basically we've got we've got it in the computer here already, and I've already done all this. We've selected the crown, we've selected the buckle opposing arch, and then we've picked everything that we want here for our Cad-Cam settings. Okay, so we've got the scan here of the actual crown. We've got the so here it is, all scanned in. All right, and we've got the buckle opposing arch. And again, I'm not going to go through how to do all that, but basically just like a regular crown. Okay. We have picked our margin here, very easy on an implant, and here comes to the design. Okay, now this is kind of where it's just a little bit tricky, different than any other ones. Obviously, you're not going to be able to do the autogenesis like you would with some other, straightforward preps. But we've made the crown, we've shaped everything. And you might be wondering kind of what is this big void here? Well, what we've done here, if you go up here to make the adjustments here, what we do is we go to move margin, and we're trying to take, basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to take down the area right here above the crown, not completely, but the area right here above the crown. And if we go over here, we'll get out of this. If we go over here and we hit this, we can see that we're real thin right there. And that's what we want, okay? Because ultimately we're going to be making a hole right here so that we can do a screw retained crown. Now, that's been, I guess, the negative for a long time of doing the crowns on the Cad-Cam for an implant, because when you're doing the cement retained crown, people are afraid that cement's going to get down here around the margin and cause some recession and cause a failed implant. But with this way, we're actually able to avoid having to cement it in the mouth, and we're going to be able to screw retain it instead of having the crown screwed into the abutment like it normally would. We're going to have the crown cemented onto the abutment, and the abutment open so that we can screw it straight into the implant. So anyway, so we make our crown, and then we just take away that little spot. We just kind of make sure that it's right over that. Alrighty. So we go to mill, and we send the crown to the mill, and here we have the milled out crown. Okay, so basically what I've done here is I've taken that area right there, and I've removed down above the implant so that I've got just enough so that screw will come right out. And here's what it looks like on the cast. Okay, so you can see that screw is coming right out, and I will say these words of warning. If you don't have a direct path of insertion here, then it's going to be really difficult for you to get this thing seated. In fact, this method is not going to work. and so then you're going to have to, go to the lab and everything. But this checks out. We're able to get this seated down here, and obviously you can see that once we seat this, we're going to, just like we normally would, we're going to put down a cotton pellet, and then we're going to fill the top over with composite. If you're wondering why the crown's purple, then you haven't done a whole lot of milled crowns. So check out another video about that, because we haven't fired this yet. We're still on the phase of try-in and making sure that everything fits right. Okay. Now we are firing the implant with our Sirona firing machine, and you can just do it just like you normally would. Put any characterization on it just like you would, and throw it in here and go ahead and scan that in. Okay, so now we've got the crown milled out. It's white now. And we're going to cement this using Reliax Luting Plus out of the mouth. We're going to cement it. We're going to etch both the abutment as well as the crown, and then we're going to bond both surfaces, and then we're going to cement it with the Reliax Luting Plus. Make sure to take the screw out, because if you get any cement down in this hole, it's not that hard to clean it out unless you have a screw in there. And then it's impossible to clean it out, and you've got to buy a new abutment and redo the whole thing. So we don't want to do that. Make sure to take the screw completely out of the abutment. Alright. And here's the final restoration. Obviously before we screwed it down and before we put it in the mouth, it's here on the cast. We've got it cemented completely with the Reliax Luting Plus, and we know that we have a good path of insertion. The crown comes right off here, and then we can just kind of stick it right back on here. It's hard to do this with one hand. Go with the right hand. There we go. And that's just how it'll be, just in the mouth. The great thing about this is we can obviously, it's retained on the abutment with cement, but we can just take it off, clean off any residual cement that might be there, make sure the margins are good, and go from there. So that's the final restoration. And here it is, just the last time being screw retained here. You can see how that fits in there smoothly. And do make sure to put the screw back in to the implant prior to seating it. Sometimes it will take a little bit of additional torque just to get it past that initial opening there. And so you want to make sure that you're not putting that torque on the implant itself, and you can just put all that torque on the analog. So, but you can see it's retained there with the screw. We can unscrew it with no problems here, and there it comes right off. So there you go. That's how to make an implant, or a screw retained implant on the E4D. Thanks for watching, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to post those on the comment box below, and I'll try to respond to them. Thanks.